Yo, what's going on, guys? And today, first video back. I took a day break. That was the first day of not a daily upload in over 6 months. I've uploaded, I think, over 900 videos in a row for 6 months consecutively. Pretty crazy, but we're going to talk about today what to expect from the Toronto Raptors this off season. And right as we get into today's video, I want to talk about this tweet released by Blake Murphy, who's a beat writer for The Athletic for the Toronto Raptors. And before we start today's video, I want to hear your predictions on the Toronto Raptors. Will they be a playoff team? If so, what seed? And if not, why do you think they're not going to be a playoff team? I believe they're a playoff team. Let's get into it. So Blake Murphy of, again, The Athletic, released a tweet saying a new camp battle has arrived with Svi, who is guaranteed a spot on this team. He signed a 2-year deal, and this leaves 5 partial guaranteed players, which are Ishmail Wainright, who is a Uganda player, Freddie Gillespie, Sam Decker, and Isaac Bonga. Out of those players, if you guys want to hear, the guys with the least amount of guaranteed money are my man Freddie Gillespie and Isaac Bonga. But this is where it goes. So those 5 players are going to have to fight for 3 spots. And when I look at that, I think it's going to be Freddie Gillespie, Sam Decker. Also, Yuta Watanabe is said to is the closest to being also guaranteed. So if we take those 2 off, that means, right there, I think it's going to be Sam Decker, Freddie Gillespie, and Yuta Watanabe. I think Yuta Watanabe and Freddie Gillespie being in the system, and Sam Decker gives them the shooting that they need. Isaac Bonga and Ishmail Wainright. Isaac Bonga has shown better shooting, and I think Isaac Bonga is the better player out of the last 2, but I think Isaac Bonga, because you can have three-way contract guys this year, I think he'll join David Johnson and Justin Champagny as part of the 2-way contract guys. So that leaves, I think, Ishmail Wainright. Even though they signed him a 2-year deal, he only has $250,000 guaranteed. So let me tell you the roster right now. If you guys haven't seen the roster, it's not bad. Okay, Goran Dragic, from also Blake Murphy in this tweet that you guys saw, said that they're operating as if they're 100% going to be able to trade Goran Dragic. So Goran Dragic is not on this team. Goran Dragic will not be on this team. This is not Goran Dragic's team. All right, and also I just realized I'm a button all the way up guy, and it's not buttoned all the way up. So I'm sorry. I gotta come back and do this right now mid-video. But yeah, so the Toronto Raptors, if we want to look at the roster of this team, I think definitely it's very interesting because of the situation they're in. You got really only 2 guards, guys who can play shooting guard on the roster right now that are like pure shooting guards. Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet has spent time there. So look, the roster right now, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Goran Dragic, who won't be there, who allegedly is going to be traded for Dwight Powell and Moses Brown. All right? And Goran Dragic goes there. So OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, Chris Boucher, Kem Birch, Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn, Yuta Watanabe, Svi, Sam Decker, Isaac Bonga, Freddie Gillespie, Delano Banton, who they drafted, Ishmael Wainright, and then Justin Champagny and David Johnson. I expect, Isaac Bonga could be a guy who could go on the 2-way, or Freddie Gillespie could go on the 2-way and be there with Justin Champagny and David Johnson. I expect the starting lineup to be Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, probably Pascal Siakam, and Kem Birch, if I had to assume correctly. Maybe we'll see a little bit of, Chris Boucher start, but I think Chris Boucher is ideally the 6th man off the bench center. So look, Gary Trent, Svi, and I expect, a little bit of Malachi Flynn playing shooting guard. And then Fred VanVleet, Malachi Flynn, and Delano Banton will be the primary backup point guards. Then you go over to small forward, OG Anunoby. Also, the other primary backup point guard is going to be Scotty Barnes, I believe, running the second unit occasionally. And then you look at this, OG Anunoby being backed up by Scotty Barnes, Yuta Watanabe, and Sam Decker. And maybe Isaac Bonga if they keep him, but I think they have a lot of forward talent. It's really their weakest position is the guards. And that's why Ishmail Wainright could end up on this team. But he isn't a guard. He's the size of a guard, but he's more of a power forward in the same vein of Jason Tate. Okay? And Precious Achiuwa is a poor man's Bam Adebayo, small ball 5, more of a 4, who just hasn't developed his jumper. So if they do feel like they need to move on from Pascal Siakam and go full rebuild, Precious Achiuwa could be the replacement for Pascal Siakam, even though Pascal Siakam has said he does not want to be traded. All right? And then you got over here, I think the center rotation is going to be, the center and power forward rotation, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher is going to be the primary backup for power forward and center. I think he'll play more backup center unless they bring in Dwight Powell and Moses Brown. Then they're going to ideally play Chris Boucher only at power forward with Moses Brown, Dwight Powell, Kem Birch being the center rotation. Freddie Gillespie, I think he should be more of a center. He just doesn't have a jump shot, but he is I think he's a good rim runner. He could be a really good rim runner off of pick and rolls, a good, lob guy, and he's a decent rim protector. So when I look at this team, I think the actual rotation, I've already said the first 5 guys: Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Kem Birch. Then Chris Boucher is the 6th man. I'd have to go right after that. Arguably, I think it's Scotty Barnes you put right there. Then Malachi Flynn, Precious Achiuwa, I think Svi, and then either Yuta Watanabe or Sam Dekker is the 10th man in the rotation. So if I run that back, that's the 10-man rotation I expect. Svi, either Yuta Watanabe or Sam Dekker as the 10th guy. Svi's the 9th guy. 8th guy is actually Precious Achiuwa. 7th guy, Malachi Flynn. 6th guy, I'm messing this up. I'm running this back. Off the bench, I'm just going to say off the bench. Either the last guy off the bench is either Sam Dekker or Yuta Watanabe, followed by Svi. Then I'm going to go probably Precious Achiuwa, then Malachi Flynn, then Scotty Barnes, and then first man off the bench, Chris Boucher. So I expect the first 3 guys off the bench, Chris Boucher, Scotty Barnes, and Malachi Flynn. Okay? And the starting lineup being, Kem Birch, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. I have my laptop right here, if you guys have been wondering, right here. I'm recording off my iMac for the first time. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I think this team, the biggest question mark is shooting. So when you look at this team, you're just scared that, this team might not be able to keep up with shooting and being able to score. I think defensively and length, and they can guard a number of positions. I think they'll be one of the better defensive teams. The 2 things that I'm very suspect about is rebounding and 3-point shooting, which if they can be a dominant rebounding team and just focus on high efficient 2-point shots, then it won't matter if they're not a good 3-point shooting team. But if they're a bad rebounding team, they better be an excellent 3-point shooting team. I think at the very least, this team is the 7th seed or play-in tournament at the least. I think this team is guaranteed to make the playoffs and probably be the 6th or the 5th seed. So I want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think of this? But that's about it for me today, guys. Peace out.